What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Axe Creation. And on this episode of Interaction, we're going to talk about Phrygian mode, 7/8 time signatures, mixing modes, and string gauges. What's going on, everybody? So I really appreciate all the questions and feedback that's going on. It's really good communication, and I like to see everybody answering each other's questions. And that being said, let's jump into some more questions. Alright, so first question. Hey, I've always listened to a lot of Tool, and I learned to play guitar through their songs, and I find myself kind of stuck on Phrygian mode. I mean, I can play other stuff, but when I improvise or write, I come back very often to Phrygian mode without even thinking about it. Do you have any tips to get out of this? What do you think I should accept it? After all, Tool is like 90% of Phrygian, and that's what I do most of the time. So that's a really good question, and we tend to create the music we listen to. That's why it's good to listen to lots of different styles and lots of different bands. For instance, if you always just listen to one band, usually when you get creative with it, it's going to sound like that, and you will hear your influences. So yes, a lot of Tool plays around with the Phrygian mode. What I would recommend doing is what I always say about modes is essentially just chords. So if there are other chords that you like, whatever they are, dominant chords or other minor chords, minor 9 chords, sus chords, find the mode that outlines that chord and start writing around that. This way everything you write has that feel or the emotion of that particular chord and that sound of the chord quality you are looking for. Firstly, thanks for making all of these videos. I'm definitely understanding time signatures so much better. I have a question about accenting time signatures. Let's say I'm making a riff in 7/8. I know I could write a riff of 3 A notes targeting certain notes of an A minor chord and then other notes targeting a C note for the last chord equals to 7/8. From experimenting, I know chord movements are a great way to accent the feel of time signature. What other ways are there to accent the feel of time signatures? Also, do you have any tips of transitioning to different time signatures in the song? So, I've talked about this before. 7/8 can be broken up more than just 3 and 4. Right? You can have 2, 2, and 3. And you can rearrange those orders however you want. So that's one thing I would do. Come up with a rhythm in your head and play with that accent. Whether it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. However you do it, and then you can place your chords and your hits appropriately within those rhythms and accent patterns that you're coming up with. And the tip for transitioning to different ones, again, I've mentioned this before, I believe in the last interaction, is do what I just said. Pick a couple of different time signatures, 7, 6, 5, anything like that, string them together and sing that accent pattern in your head and then write the riff to that, and that'll happen to just translate through your time signatures. Another tip that you can do is that when you change time signatures, always remember that the speed of the notes remain constant. Okay, I see this a lot. They'll jump from like 3/4 to 5/8, and as soon as somebody jumps to the 5/8, they feel they have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have to like catch up to it, and the speed of the 8th notes is the same thing. All right, so if you're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. Okay, just like that. So the 8th notes stay the same speed. So don't let that confuse you. Cool? Next question. What string gauge do you use for drop D? Killer lesson as always. Well, thanks a lot. And yeah, string gauges. I usually play with 10s or a hybrid set. So 10s on the bottom, 9s on top. And I find if you like to play on 9s but want to put it in drop D, you'll be alright. But I find that the 10s not only hold the tension better of that lower D string, but it also helps make the riffs and your rhythm playing just gives it a little bit more, holds it together a little bit better. It's not as flimsy, makes it sound a little bit thicker. So if you're playing a drop D, I would recommend 10s. If you're used to playing on 9s, definitely check out a hybrid set of 10s on the bottom, 9s on top. And then if you're going to tune lower than that, then I would probably step up to say 11s. If you're going to go to a drop C or something like that. I personally don't like super thick strings on my guitars, which is probably why I don't play in a lot of obscene drop tunings like a drop B and a drop C. I like drop C a lot, but drop C, or some guys even do drop A, gets crazy with it. At that point, you have to put on really thick strings, and that just doesn't feel good when you're playing all that stuff, for me, personally. So do what you will, but that's my recommendation for drop D, standard tuning. Awesome. Next question. Is mixing modes a thing? I've heard of mixing major and minor, but I've never heard anything on mixing modes. Well, mixing modes is extremely common, and especially in jazz world, blues, everything. Anytime where there's heavy chord changes, you're always mixing modes. So if you're not used to it, what I would recommend doing is, say, pick either a minor or even a Dorian sound, play it in, say, A, and then either move it up to C minor or up to, say, F minor, right? You're moving either a minor third or a minor six away, and what that's going to do, it's going to be a very drastic jump in key signatures or keys. So you can play in the Dorian for both of those, and you get used to mixing modes that way. You can also mix modes on a standard chord progression. Just as the chords go by, play the arpeggio or play the mode of that arpeggio, right? If you're doing a 2-5-1, play a Dorian mode and then play the Mixolydian mode. And even though you're playing the same notes from the same key, you're actually going up the modal scale pattern and outlining the chord that you should be. And hopefully that opens up your ears to how that should sound. Awesome. So thanks a lot for all the great questions. Keep them coming. Leave them in the comment section below, and I will answer them in a video or in the comment section. So as always, let me know what you come up with, and until then, I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.